I love him, and I love William, and I love Diana, and she'd be so proud of her boys and the grandchildren.
Do you think she'd want them to get back together as a family?
I think that's not our place.
Back, it's Ayesha Hazarika sitting in for Mariella Frostrop with you for another hour. And I have to say, I am besides myself with excitement about our next guest, who has just come into the studio looking beautiful, looking very regal, I have to say. It is Sarah, Duchess of York, or Fergie, as she's affectionately known to millions. A very interesting woman. She has had such an interesting life. And she's here to talk about her new book. It's her second historical romance novel. And the title, I think, is quite apt to you, actually. A Most Intriguing Lady. Sarah, welcome.
Thank you so much. I did you think I wasn't coming?
I did have a moment.
I saw you. I was, in fact, was loitering in the corridor.
Loitering with
Yes,
intent.
With intent.
I love it.
Taking lots of photographs under Times Radio.
I can imagine everybody wants a selfie with you. We have to get a selfie
Of
out. We
course.
have to get a big selfie when we leave.
Don't forget that I'm quite a fan of yours. I'm a huge fan of yours. You're a comedian. You are very
goodness.
hysterically funny.
Oh my goodness! I'm literally. I've. This has made my day. We're having a big love-in. Now, listen. Tell me about your book. Love the title. A Most Intriguing Lady. It's your second historical novel, and tell us about this main character, Lady Mary. Tell us all about it because she's fabulous.
Well, thank you so much. I started off being a novelist with Lady Margaret and Her Heart for a Compass, and I actually really had very little knowledge of how to write a novel. And so I went to Mills and Boon and I said, please, can I do a novel? And please give me your finest ever historian, a collaborator. We call ourselves collaborator. We're trailblazers. And Marguerite Kay, of course, has written 59, 60 books herself. And together we've grown into now moving on to A Most Intriguing Lady. And we are both super sleuths, really. We're curious about life, and Lady Mary is a bit of a wallflower during the day, and everybody thinks she's a little dormouse and little quiet person, and then at 6 o'clock, says she, clearing her throat deliberately, because out comes the saucy, sexy, sassy, fabulous sleuthing, crime-solving detective of society crimes.
Wow, I'm hooked already. And look, tell me about Lady Mary. Is she based on anybody? She has beautiful red hair, Sarah. Is that a hint?
It's funny that. Well, I have decided here and now that Mills and Boon, when they started 100 years ago, you know what they did? They took women and allowed them to escape into literature, allowed them to not think about war and in World War I, World War II, and then took them on the journey, right? I'm now saying that being a novelist for me, an author, is not actually escaping in, it's escaping out. So don't you love that?
Love
so
it.
Sarah, sitting opposite you right now, is now being herself for the first time through the work, with Marguerite Kay and I trailblazing, collaborating, because I can now be myself. Because I've got my own career for the first time in my life. 63 years old. I'm now being myself. I'm sitting opposite you. I mean, Ayesha, you are a comedian, and you were in politics, and you did this, and you did that. But you've always honed your own career path. I really haven't. I mean, I've done so many things.
Do you feel like you've kind of got ownership of your life now properly for the first time?
Literally, today, when I was talking, I thought, yeah, I've not escaped in, I've escaped out.
That's an amazing thing.
It's like I've opened, they say you're coming out of the closet. Well, I'm not coming out of the closet in that way. I'm escaping out, allowing my true heart and soul and Sarah to be shown.
And so how does that feel? Because you've had such an interesting life. You really have seen it all. You've had ups, you've had downs, you've lived your life in the public eye. Do you think that writing has really helped you find yourself?
I think that sitting here being proud that you've had a Sunday Times best-selling novel and you're hopefully on your way to the next one and you're going to book 3, it gives me an anchor to hold on to that is really, truly my imagination who I am as a person. It just took me 61 years to work it out.
And you must have, I mean, I'm sensing from you a great deal of pride in the work that you've done. Do you think for you, because, you know, your journey through the royal family and you were a princess and that has lots of connotations, do you think that this means a lot to you because this is your own endeavour, this is your own hard work, this is your thing which you've built yourself?
Ayesha, it is 100% that. It is the fact that my girls have now got their families. I've got grandchildren, but you can't put me in the bucket of, oh, you're just a grandmother, or you're just a mother, or you're just this, or you're just that. I'm not. I am a trailblazing collaborator of a best-selling novel, and I'm really proud of it. So going back to your question, it's really interesting to be authentically sitting here, just answering your questions as a chat, as a woman to woman,
and feeling like your real self in
Yes.
and finding your voice, which it sounds like one of those cliched things, but certainly I didn't think I found my voice. I'm 47 now, until I was in my 40s. Some of my very good female friends who are older than me said they didn't find their true voices until later in life. Why do you think that is for women?
Well, I think in the case that I was brought up in 1959 with bright red curly hair, and I think that my mother permanently said I was from the postman, you know, and and
Nice.
I think she had no understanding that. She just thought that was funny. But of course, I probably thought, oh, goodness, I don't look anything like my mother. Maybe I was from the postman. But I think later, all the way through, I sort of hid myself and I hid away. And I knew I was always there. If you read A Most Intriguing Lady, Lady Mary is why Lady Mary, although I've never been a wallflower and a dormouse. But
I was going to say, that doesn't really
hello.
sound like
No.
you.
but she hides herself from everyone. Of course she can shoot a gun. Of course she can tightrope walk across the towers of Drumlanrig. Of course she can do all those things, but she doesn't show anybody she can. And I think that's very me. Of course I can do lots of things, but I never really speak about it. I don't speak about my charity work or what I've done, or I've just never done that, really.
Can I just say the point about your hair? When I was a wee girl growing up, I was obsessed about you because I loved your hair. I thought your hair was the most beautiful thing I had ever seen. And when you got married on your wedding day, I thought I'd never seen a vision of more beauty and radiance on your...
Yes!
And I loved
Yes.
Anne of Green Gables as well. So the red hair, I was very, very, very big on the red hair.
Didn't you love Anne of Green Gables?
Oh, so
much. Oh, my
much.
gosh, Mariah.
So much.
Wasn't she? Cuthbert.
Yes,
Yes.
Cuthbert, and so much. So listen, with your book, particularly this a most intriguing lady, it sounds like it is ripe for a kind of Netflix treatment. It sounds like it would work brilliantly on the small screen. Any plans?
Well, thank you for asking. Yes, we have done a deal with a TV group. We're not allowed to announce it yet, but it is going into production.
Fantastic.
Book 1 and 2.
Wow.
Yes, I think I've decided that Jamie Fraser should come out of Outlander. Hello?
Hi. Hi.
You want to come on set?
I certainly do.
I think you should absolutely say to Claire, ciao, ciao, Claire, you're coming to Scotland
Sarah,
with
I'm
me.
ready. I'm Scottish. I'm ready. I'm ready to come back, reclaim my heritage, and catch up with Outlander. That's such a great idea.
Isn't it? And I think...
By the way, if you do that, it will be absolutely blockbuster, won't it?
Won't it? Don't you think?
Oh.
I think you should.
Actually,
I'm going
that's
to go
be
and just tell
amazing.
him you
And
should.
who would you like to see? Who's going to play? Who would you like to see play Lady Mary?
Oh, Jess Buckley.
Oh yes,
Yes, I just
definitely.
love Jess Buckley.
She's amazing.
Yeah, no, if she's listening, Jess Buckley.
Oh, that what a combination that is going to be. That is going to be.
Yeah.
And so look, your career and your life. I mean, a most intriguing lady, as I said in the intro, that could absolutely apply to you. You have just been through so much. You've reinvented yourself so many times, and I think that's one of the things that I find really interesting about you, and I think many women do as well, because you've been through some really, really tough times, but you're a survivor and you're incredibly resilient. How have you done that?
It's interesting, isn't it? I believe that there's a tiny small flame in me, and it just won't go away. It's so much hope, and I just believe very strongly you know, if it's really, really bad, and I have really bad, there are bad days, but it just something keeps me going, and I can't describe it. I think resilience is the word, and I've got an incredible humour. And I think everything is really okay. Glass of wine in the evening, 7 o'clock, and you're off you go again. I think one person said to me once, "Well, banks are closed at this time of night, so you don't have to worry till tomorrow morning. So have a good time." I think that it's seizing life with joy, and I work very hard on being serious about joy. I really believe that it can. That it feeds you, but you have to work hard at it because
And
it's
what
too
do you
easy
mean
to be
working
negative.
hard at joy? How do you do that? Because a lot of people feel that joy should be sort of effortless and just very easy, and actually it's very hard work to be not even happy, just to be content. How do you do that?
You mindfully focus on turning your head to joy. You mindfully do it, or you dance a jig in front of the mirror and say, in a sense of ridiculous, you something really bad has happened, or you've heard something really bad, or you've been on the front pages yet again and done something or didn't do something and they still wrote it. You have to go, okay, do you know the truth? How do you feel? And then turn to joy. And if you actually do it, you'll catch yourself giggling at the mirror because you've jumped into a jig. Turning to joy.
And what brings you joy? Do you have people who bring you joy? What do you like to do? If you've had a really terrible day and let's say someone's written a horrible thing about you, or what do you do to sort of get over it and bring yourself some joy?
Well, it's kind of interesting because I really should ask you that question because you're the comedian and you make everybody happy. But however, the way I do it is that I have a great team of people. And they all know that I'm very stratospherically sensitive and I'm very gentle, really. Although look strong and big red hair, I do mind. So I have to go and talk about it. I think the fact, communicate, compromise, compassion, the 3 C's, because I want to sit down and say, that really hurt. And for the person to sit there and not say, oh, stop being so sensitive or stop being so ridiculous. Oh, no, listen to me. I really mind. And I think listening is key that we've lost nowadays. I think it's all about judgment. I think it's all about pointing the finger. I think the cyberbullying, I think the troll warring is a sewer. And I think that we need to just stop the judgment and be kind.
Mariella Frostrop, and I am delighted that our special big guest of the day on the show is Sarah Ferguson, who is the Duchess of York. She's talking about her fascinating new historical romance and thriller novel, A Most Intriguing Lady. We've been hearing all about her central character, the fact that hopefully we're going to see it on the small screen as well. And we've just been talking about the journey that Sarah has been on. And, Sarah, we were just sort of talking there in the break that you have been through a lot and you've just been telling us about how you kind of manage with your resilience. But I've done actually a lot of royal kind of documentary things where I've ended up having to do a lot of research about your life and talk about you on these various documentaries. And you really did go through it. I mean, you have really gone through the whole thing. But you mentioned there about the, what it's like when people criticise you. And when I look back and I see how people talked about you, particularly about your appearance, it's so horrible. And how did you get through that sort of period? And how did it affect you? And how do you how have you sort of come to terms with it now?
Well, Ayesha, it's quite interesting because when they put on the front page, Fat Frumpy Fergie, I believed it. And everybody thought that it was, the Duchess of Pork.
Oh, I just remember that
Do you remember?
breaks my... Do you know, I remember, and it breaks my heart because you are a beautiful woman and you were this beautiful, beautiful, beautiful young woman, and that title. What did that do to you?
It caused me to eat more, actually. It caused me to have body morphic disorder. Diana was looking beautiful, tall and thin, but I didn't, she'd been going through her own issues with bulimia and I never could do that. I still had the thought that it's okay, come on, keep going. And I just put on the pounds because food was my comfort. And then when it got to the point when they wrote 82% would like to sleep with a goat than Fergie. And then, someone wrote in and said, we feel sorry for the goat.
Oh, God. That's so horrible.
Horrible.
I mean, we're laughing. It's so. And I read recently you did an interview and you said that you actually ended up meeting the man who
Oh,
wrote
yes.
who wrote that.
Oh, yes, you're absolutely right, Ayesha. You're right. So I went to lunch with the Daily Mirror, as you do. Why on earth I was having lunch with the Daily Mirror? Anyway, off we go. And afterwards, I think Piers Morgan said to me, "Why don't you go and have a look round the floor and meet everybody that have known you for so long?" Anyway, so I walked in and there was a small little man in the corner, very, very large, with a bald head, and very laughing his head off. And so I went up and thinking, "Oh gosh, what's the joke?" And I went up to him and said, "Excuse me, sir, what's the joke? Could share it." And he said, "Oh, I've loved you. I loved you at the wedding, and I love you now. We've been together for 20 years, and I'm so excited to meet you because I made up that headline, the Duchess of Pork. I made it up." And here was this small, jovial little fat chap in the corner. Don't worry, and I said to myself afterwards, I said, "Isn't it extraordinary that for 10 years he was the cause of my demise, of my own self, the self-sabotage, the self-doubt, because I genuinely believed everyone judged me for having looking larger or not being the wrong weight, and he
was
wasn't.
just a
He didn't
joke.
mean it. It was just a joke."
But it just shows you the power of words and how you can internalize them.
words.
It's like, I'm the same, and I can get 1,000 nice comments, one really horrible comment, and that will just eat away in your brain. But it was still a very unpleasant headline. Now, press and the royal family has been very much in the news recently, particularly with Meghan and Harry. And of course, Prince Harry is back in London and is involved in this case. We're not going to go into the details of that. But, how do you feel when you look at their move to America, but also, you had your own struggles with the press. They've had their struggles with the press and the royal family. You've had your struggles with the royal family. How do you think they're handling it? Do you have any sympathy for them?
Well, honestly, Ayesha, as you probably get it too, is that any single person that is on the public stage and that has to handle the scrutiny of the media, not just the British media, global media, it's really extraordinary because people can say, "Oh, well, they're on the public stage, so therefore they're fair game." No, nobody is fair game. And so I sympathise with anyone that is trying so hard on the public stage to, I believe in family unity, I believe in kindness, I believe in less judgment, more talking to each other. And I think that I personally really feel that the way I get through it myself, Ayesha, do you know how I manage? I think to myself, good or bad, at least if I'm still people are still curious about me because I'm still here, then I can be a voice of silent whispers. I can get my voice out of a story, whether it's children's literacy or women in literature or a bit of hope out there.
So do you think from what you're saying there, is that you kind of saying that they should understand that that's the deal, and they have got a platform to do the things they could do, like you're doing with your books and other things?
Well, I'm not talking about anyone in particular here because it's not my place, and I don't feel that would be right.
Okay.
But I was actually thinking once of Fergie when she from the Black Eyed Peas.
Oh,
Fergie.
the other Fergie.
Yes, and Fergie was amazing, but she brought out an album called the Duchess album. The Duchess County, and I went up, rang her up, and I said, "Hi, Fergie, you don't know me, but I'm a Duchess, and you're not a Duchess. Although you didn't mean it Duchess because you put a T in it for Duchess County. Please, could you come and sing in Wall Street, and we'll raise a lot of money for my charity for children's." Anyway, she did.
And
she came and sang.
And so look, we're looking ahead as well to the coronation, which is going to be a huge moment. What do you think that's going to mean for the country?
I think it's a fresh, clean chapter, a fresh, clean page. I think the nation loves pomp and pageantry, don't they, Ayesha?
We love the Alice in Wonderland pomp and all of that. We do love it.
And I'm so pleased for the king that he's going to be king, and with Camilla. And I just think the whole thing is a lovely story. Now it's a lovely story to sort of unite Britain and put the great in Britain and show with the flags and the bunting and the coronation chicken sandwiches and everything that is really good. Britain is really good at pomp and pageantry, and I'm excited for it.
And what kind of king do you think he'll be?
I think that the king is a deeply kind, sensitive man. And I think he's shown that with all his work with the environment and how he has really fought for it. Do you remember? He was teased
Yeah.
terribly years
He
ago.
was called a crank and a
Yeah.
weirdo, and because he
Yeah.
was into organic farming. Now it's
Look
de
at it.
rigueur. It's all kind of. And in terms of, are you hoping to attend the coronation?
Well, I don't know, but the good news is I don't think invitations have gone out to friends and family. So, we still hope. But the thing is that I'm very happy for him. I really am. And I'm happy for her too. And so therefore, I'm going
She's
to be
been on a
waving my
real
flag.
journey as well.
Exactly,
and the
Ayesha.
moment when they walked into the palace together was a big, big moment.
I know, I took a picture of that.
Yeah, it was
from the television.
It was a big
I
moment.
did. And I sent it to them.
And what about talking about unity and trying to get everyone back together? Do you think there's any way back for Harry now? Do you think there's any way he can come back into the family?
Oh, well, I mean, the way that the Yorks do it is we all unite as a family. And I think the royal family is a very loving family. And I think that every family all over the world, they all have... I know, I tell you what, I've got a quote for you from the Queen. Can I tell you? Are you there? Are you with me? Okay. The world needs kindness more than ever. The kindness that disarms malice and allows us to get on with one another with respect and affection. But that actually wasn't the one I wanted. There's another one. Okay. Well, anyway, I'll find it.
We'll find it.
No, here.
Oh.
Like all the best families, we have our share of eccentricities, of impetuous and wayward youngsters, and of family disagreements.
Okay. Well, I think reading into that, you're sort of saying would be, because you and Harry had a good relationship. It was lovely to see you at the wedding, looking fabulous.
I love him. And I love William, and I love Diana, and she'd be so proud of her boys and the grandchildren.
Do you think she'd want them to get back together as a family?
I think that's not our place. Each journey is their own, and I'm absolutely proud to bring up my girls with that sense of solidarity. And I think that I just think that we need to love more compassion. I love the 3 C's, which I used before.
Yes, you've mentioned those.
Yeah.
Now, final couple of questions to you, and we obviously don't want to get into the legalities of what's happening with your ex-husband, but we do know that Netflix is going to be doing this dramatization of what happened. I mean, how do you feel about that? And how do you feel about Rufus Sewell playing your ex-husband?
Is he playing?
He is. Apparently, he is.
I've always been a great fan of Rufus Sewell. I really think he's really a great actor. And how interesting.
Do you think, will you be able to watch it when it comes out, or will it be too close to the bone for the family?
I think that I love everything to do with film and TV, and it's like watching The Crown. I love cinematography. I think Andy Harris did a great job with The Crown, with his cinematography. Do you remember at the beginning?
Yeah, I'm such a fan of such a fan of The Crown.
Yeah.
And
Yes, exactly.
And look, many of our listeners who are messaging in just saying, look, I suppose the question is, you have got this very interesting relationship, very close relationship with Prince Andrew. He's had a lot of people very, very critical about his friendship with Jeffrey Epstein and everything that's happened. And you are very supportive of him, even though he is a very controversial figure. Why is your support for him so unflinching?
The most important thing about your question is that for legal reasons I won't be able to answer you, and I think that's very wise. And now at 63, I've become more wise, Ayesha. And therefore, to whoever listener sent you that question, I would love to honour them for their question, and they have every right to ask that question. I personally have to say that I love life to such a degree that I don't judge. And an example would be that when I, the other day, went to make a speech at the LGBTQ plus for GLAD, I went up on stage and I said, it's the first time in my life I don't feel judged. And that is what I maintain. My moral code and my moral rule book is my value system, that we have no rights to judge another. We hold the line of what we believe in our hearts, and that's what I believe. And Beatrice always says, "Mummy, why wear your heart on your sleeve when you wear it all over your body?" And I'm really proud that 1986, 23rd of July, was one of the best days of my life, and you watched it.
I did watch it, and it's interesting that you have had a very long and happy divorce.
We are divorced to each other, yes.
Yeah,
but he's a very good grandfather, and he's a very kind, good man. And for me, the heart speaks.